Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we will be getting started here in just a moment. All right, then. Looks like we are good to go on Zoom, and we're live on Facebook. So Paul, whenever you're ready, we're good to go.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Alexis, and welcome everybody to the Livable Center Study Community Meeting #1. We're excited to have everyone here tonight to provide their feedback on what we're looking to see with Old Seabrook and its potential for redevelopment and new development opportunities. With us today is going to be Freese Nichols, who's the consulting firm that's going to be conducting this study and presenting their findings later on this year. I'd like to turn the meeting over now to our mayor, Tom Kolupski, who will give a warm welcome to everybody here. So Mayor, Tom, if you would, please.
Well, thank you, Paul. I just wanted to say a few words before we get started. First of all, I want to thank the Houston-Galveston Area Council for partnering with the City of Seabrook and the Seabrook Economic Development Corporation on this Livable Center study for the Old Seabrook District. There have been many studies over the years that have looked at this area, trying to figure out how to make it an area for all of Seabrook residents to enjoy and to share in the old town quaintness of Seabrook and to make it truly a livable area. But it's time to take a fresh look, a more holistic look. The importance of this area cannot be overstressed. This area truly epitomizes Seabrook's history and tradition. This is where Seabrook began. This is Seabrook's heart, and it's time to revitalize it. I also want to thank the consultants Freese and Nichols for allowing us to tap into their vast knowledge and experience, and for all their hard work and data gathering, ideas and opinions from the many stakeholders and residents. And last but not least, I want to thank those residents and shareholders for lending their time, knowledge, opinions, ideas, and history so we can make this a truly special space for all of Seabrook to enjoy. Now I want to pass this to Shad to begin the presentation. Take it away, Shad.
All right, thank you, Mayor, for that warm welcome and introduction. My name is Shad Como. I'm an urban planner with Freese and Nichols, and I'm leading the Seabrook Livable Center study team. At this time, we'll cover a little bit of housekeeping. You can see the toolbar across the bottom. Your microphones have been muted. This meeting is being recorded, so you can view it at a later time. And if you're having any network connection issues, you might want to minimize some of the network on your activity to help with that. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. You'll see along the bottom of your toolbar, there's a Q&A box, so you could place your questions in there at any time. And at the appropriate time, we will address those. We will ask that you would submit questions that are related to this particular study. Any other questions will be submitted to staff to be addressed at a later time. So with that, these are a few things that we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk to you about the Livable Center study and what it's about, why planning is important. Ellen is going to walk you through the plan process and the public outreach. We did receive some information from the survey, so we appreciate everyone who's taken those surveys so far. And so we'll show you a little snapshot of that information, and then we'll talk to you about how to get involved if you haven't been involved to this point, and then we'll take some questions at that time. So this is the team that is leading this study. Across the top is the Freese and Nichols team, and you'll see the various people and the various expertise and areas in which they work in. We're also accompanied by a great host of sub-consultants. Marsh Darcy Partners will be helping us with economic development and looking at various strategies related to that. CDS, Community Development Strategies, is helping with the market analysis, and in fact, they'll be presenting that market analysis to the committee at the next upcoming committee meeting. And then Clark Condon, they'll be looking at image and branding and helping us in that regard. So we're also working with a stakeholder advisory committee. The stakeholder advisory committee was assembled at the beginning of the project. And they're really there to help us with the knowledge of the study area. Many of them are business owners, they residential, live in the neighborhood, stakeholders in the community. And so they're going to help us with the knowledge of the area. They also help us with identifying various issues and opportunities. As we develop various recommendations and start to craft the vision and the goals, they will help and give us feedback related to those as well. And most importantly, they're ambassadors of the plan. And so if you know any of these individuals on this list, hopefully they have been sharing with you about this study, and we'll continue to share with you throughout this process. So we want to make this presentation a little interactive. And so if you could take out your smartphones, or if you're in a computer, if you go to www.menti.com and enter that code 2222496, that will enter you into the system for the entire presentation. We'll have several polling questions throughout. And so if you can go there now, take a moment to go to that web address at the top, enter that code. And if you could answer this question for us: how often do you visit Old Seabrook? We'll give people a few moments to enter that system. And anyone could participate in this poll if you're viewing Zoom as well as Facebook as well. Alexis, are we seeing any responses coming through?
Chad, it looks like we've got some responses on the back end, and just trying to get PowerPoint to sync up here. One moment.
All right.
There we go.
All right, so let's see how you all answered. Great, so we have about 40% say daily, 44%, another 38% say a few times a month, and 19% say a few times a week. So great. Seems like we have some visits to the area. All right, so we appreciate you. Again, that system, if you can keep that open, we'll have several other polling questions throughout. So let me tell you a little bit about the Livable Center study. This study, as the mayor mentioned, is sponsored through the Houston-Galveston Area Council. That organization is the metropolitan organization in the area, and they focus on transportation. And so there's grant funding through the Livable Center study, looks at various livable centers throughout the area. And what they do is they look for opportunities to create mixed-use developments, enhance the streetscape and the sidewalks, look at how to implement various modes of transportation and access to various areas, how to expand employment, housing and employment opportunities, and really to get the community involved. And so really what underlines under all of these goals and these objectives is creating these areas and these centers of activity so that you as a community member living in Seabrook do not have to drive across the Houston metropolitan area to enjoy various livable centers and mixed-use developments, and those areas that allow you to be able to walk around without using your vehicle very much. And so it really reduces the trip mileage for a community or for a specific area. And so as we develop this plan, there are a few expectations that we like to see come out of this plan. One is that we're going to look at various land uses, and the market analysis that I mentioned earlier is going to help us in identifying what our land uses are that make sense and that are a reality in this area. Also, transportation recommendations is a big part of this study. Also developing opportunities, identifying those development opportunities, how those development opportunities can be created and done through various economic development strategies and recommendations. And most importantly, how this plan is implemented. Is one thing to create a plan and a study and to have a vision, but how do you implement it? That's what's most important. And so we want to not only identify those large recommendations, but also the low-hanging fruit as well. And so the implementation plan will outline various things and how things can be funded in order to implement the vision that's created. This is the study area that we are working within. You'll see it outlined here. It reaches all the way to Toddville Road down Main Street to Cook Avenue, and it expands out along Meyer Avenue as well to the water. So this area is mixed use area, has various residential uses, some commercial, retail as well. And so we're looking to improve and how to make this area more walkable. As the mayor mentioned earlier, there have been previous planning efforts done in the city of Seabrook. As a matter of fact, Friesen Nichols had the opportunity, along with Marsh Darcy Partners, to develop the 2016 comprehensive plan. But one of the things that we look for in these various plans are those recommendations that are still relevant, and how do we tie those into this study? And so we don't want to waste any previous planning study efforts. For example, the open space and parks master plan, how can we connect this area to the citywide hike and bike trail? And so we'll be looking at various recommendations in these plans and how we can tie those in and overlap those with this particular study. Okay, so we have another polling question for you. Again, if you're already logged in, or if you need to log in, you can go to the website at the top of the page. Use that code 222249 and 6. Please submit your responses. I think it's already rolling. So why do you visit Old Seabrook? You could choose any of these that apply. Is it work, entertainment, other shopping, and dining? So a few more people are responding. So several categories are pretty even mixed, but have a large 31% for shopping and dining. Work 19%, entertainment 17%, 17% for recreational and other. So great information. It seems like this area already has a great mix of various uses. So talk a little bit briefly about why planning is important. We talked about the various planning efforts that were completed previously, and sometimes communities feel like communities plan a lot, but it's very important to plan, and especially very important to implement those various plans. One reason why it's important to plan is because it gives direction. One of my colleagues likes to say, and I'll paraphrase it a little bit, if you don't know where you're going, then you might end up somewhere that you really don't want to be. And so planning gives direction to the community and where it wants to head. Planning also gives us a vision. So what does this area, or what the community look like in the future as we go through this planning process? What various recommendations and things that we identify in this plan that helps to create the vision as we move forward into the future? It also brings focus to the community level. There are various planning studies that are done that take more of a generalized and regional approach. But this particular study that we're working with really brings the focus to the community level and to this particular study area. And so that's why it was very important for us to work with a stakeholder committee that has intimate knowledge about this area. And that's why it's very important that we're meeting with you tonight so that we can share about this plan and get input from you as we move forward through this process. And so if you look at this graphic here tonight, as well as the the online survey that is currently out, the community and the stakeholder input is very important for us. It forms the foundation as we begin to move through the planning process and developing the vision. That vision then helps us to identify goals and then strategies. Those strategies helps us as we implement the plan. And so your input is very important, and it really serves as the foundation because this is your community plan. So at this time, Ellen is going to walk us through the plan process and some public outreach information.
Thank you, Shad. My name is Ellen, and I work on the Freeze and Nichols team. I'm one of the planners for this project, and I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of the process that we use for public engagement to get everyone's input, and then some of the feedback that we've heard so far on the project. So there are 4 key steps to this plan process. The first is public outreach and participation. It kind of carries throughout the entirety of the project. That includes things like the advisory committee meetings, community meetings like what we're doing right now, providing input, gathering input from the Economic Development Corporation and from City Council, and then the online survey as well, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the presentation. The needs assessment next is also getting underway. It is kind of the foundation for making decisions based on the facts that are on the ground, the existing conditions, and it provides a clear understanding of what we're working with, what the market can support, and then, as Shad mentioned, kind of helps provide that direction for where we need to go next. The draft concepts and recommendations will include connecting with city departments as well as partner agencies like the utility providers and TxDOT, and that just ensures that the recommendations that we are putting forth that might impact service plans for the area, any type of service, any existing operations, that all those recommendations are discussed, that they're vetted before they become part of the final plan. So that's another critical step. And then, of course, finally, the final planning document will be presented to the City Council for adoption. This will become part of the adopted policies that help to guide growth and development of the Old Seabrook District in the city, hopefully long into the future. This is just an overview of the activities that are conducted throughout the public outreach process. As I mentioned, City Council input, EDC input, just looking more closely at what types of input we're wanting to gather throughout the planning process. So additional community input will come later, but before the plan is finalized, all of this provides an opportunity for us to, as I mentioned earlier, vet our recommendations, get a solid understanding of what's going on in the study area, understand whether it captures the vision that you all are trying to create, and that we're helping to make sure that those are properly developed, especially in the early stages. So we have here another polling question. What would you like to see more of in Old Seabrook? And this is also a select all that apply. We'll give it a moment to load here. If it's difficult to see, we've got family-friendly spaces, entertainment and nightlife, shopping and dining, sidewalks, trails, recreation, festivals and special events, and residential development. Nice. Got some leaning towards recreation, festivals, shopping and dining, which jives with what we saw earlier, why people already are coming to Old Seabrook. Let's give it a few more seconds here. Fantastic. So it looks like sidewalks, trails, recreation areas. A lot of you all would love to see more of that. Family-friendly spaces, shopping and dining. thank you for your input there. So as I mentioned earlier, we try to get input from all the agencies that are involved. That includes the City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Economic Development Corporation. When we went before the EDC and Planning and Zoning, some of the major themes that they mentioned to us were things that you all have already kind of provided through the survey questions: shopping and dining, entertainment, the trail system. We also heard things like better sidewalk connections, retaining the historic character, addressing some of the drainage issues that exist, especially where there aren't sidewalks currently. And then they all wanted it to be an action plan for the future. And this is what the mayor mentioned in his earlier remarks, that the hope for this plan is that it doesn't just sit on a shelf, it becomes something that the community can use and continue to reference and go back to build up the vision that you all want. We've already had one stakeholder advisory committee meeting. Some of the issues that they pointed out were things, again, that we'd heard previously, which is worth noting, especially if multiple agencies bring these things to our attention. So again, sidewalk connectivity, traffic and parking, drainage issues, high cost of new development, opportunities such as the waterfront location. Seems like the small, quaint atmosphere of the district, not wanting to lose that, wanting to build upon what already is there. Business opportunities, additional development. And then they provided a few points for their vision for the Old Seabrook district. Again, really family friendly, waterfront accessible, tourism, trails, sidewalks, and ultimately a quaint and unique place that is still a destination for everybody to use. As I mentioned earlier, we have a public input survey that is live. We'll give you the information at the end of the meeting on how you can access that. As of today, we've had over 300 people answer the survey. So hopefully, if you all haven't done that, definitely go do it. So far, the major themes that we've heard, again, were a small town feel, something that's quaint, not losing the historic character of the area, a local business hub, a place where local businesses can thrive and continue to grow, and of course, food and drink, somewhere people can go to enjoy those amenities. Other themes that we heard were things like entertainment, a recreation destination, outdoors, sidewalk trails, ultimately, all of the amenities that make the community really unique, really friendly to everyone, really welcoming. And again, that's just what we've heard so far. We'll continue to collect these responses as they come in and then integrate them into the final plan. So this is one of the questions that comes from the survey, and this is just to give you all an idea of the types of things that we're looking for. There's lots of questions on the survey. But this is a scenario type question that comes from the survey. Of the 300 people that have taken the survey so far, this is the way it's currently trending. This is a development scenario option here, just to orient you all. The red is commercial development. The yellow represents residential. The blue is government. The green is green space. And then the orange is mixed use development mostly. The existing mix shows kind of roughly what the current conditions are, but we're aware that Seabrook has a lot of neighborhood commercial buildings that are smaller scale, more local, a lot of mixed uses and things like that. So in general, what we're seeing is that people like the way it is now, would also like to see maybe a little bit more commercial, even farther off of Main Street, some other mixed uses, something that's really balanced, where we can take into consideration the existing residents, maybe bring in some more people, but also additional commercial opportunities. So again, this has really just shown us that the folks in Seabrook have a wide variety of preferences, and we definitely want to continue to receive those from you all. The district has a lot of potential and can probably accommodate a lot of different alternatives. So what we really want to do is make sure that we're gathering all the information that we can to provide the best vision to put forward and recommendations for the district. So next, Shad is going to move through what you all can do to get involved in the study. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ellen. So before I get to that information, we have one final polling question. In this polling question, we want to know how you learned about this study. And so you can choose all of those that apply. This information is important to us because as we move through the process, we want to make sure that we are being transparent and letting you know the various milestones along the way. And so this information helps us to be able to disseminate the information appropriately.
And just a quick note, even though it doesn't say it, this is also a select all that apply. So if you heard about this in multiple ways, we definitely want to know.
So we have a large number, percentage through email, social media and city website is another method in which you all are receiving communication, community meeting. And we are happy to see that some people have visited the interactive postal boards. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. And it was great to see you all if you did come up to the table booth at the Easter excursion. Thank you. Okay, so how can you learn more about this project? There is a project website that is set up as a visually pleasing website developed by the very talented communications department at the city of Seabrook. And on this website, you can learn about the project, various information. You can look at various documents and presentations that were presented previously. Of course, you can get project updates here. And so we encourage you to view this website continually throughout the process. The online survey is also linked to this website as well. So as Ellen mentioned earlier, there was a survey. Over 300 people have participated to date. The survey is closing on April 23rd, so you still have time to take the survey. Again, you can go to oseabrookdistrict.metroquest.com to take you directly to the survey. But again, you can also use this QR code on the screen, as well as visiting the project website, as I mentioned on the previous slide. But on the survey, we want you to provide your input. Give us your input about the study area. What are some of your priorities about the study area? There's also a question that asks you to share your vision for the district. So we encourage you to go to this online survey. It's not a very long survey. It's very interactive. And so we feel like you'll enjoy taking this survey. And we'll be looking for your input. Again, that survey does close on April 23rd. Also, we have some interactive boards out in the community in the study area. One location is Tookie's Seafood Restaurant, the Seabrook Waffle Company, and Merline Restaurant. So you can go to those three locations. There are boards that are very different in each location. So perhaps on a Saturday evening, you could take a stroll to the Waffle Company and grab your breakfast. Maybe move over to Tookie's for a mid-afternoon drink, and then Merline that evening for a nice dinner. And in those three locations, you will find these very interactive boards, again, related to those areas. They have different questions on them. So please visit those, give us your input. We appreciate it very much. So I want to talk to you a little bit about next steps. In terms of our next steps, we will be concluding the market assessment and analysis of existing conditions. This information is going to be presented at the next committee meeting. This will be the second committee meeting on May 11th. So we will present that information there, as well as a wrap-up summary of the online survey also. Again, that survey is closing on April 23rd, so we encourage you to get your information in there. Again, visit the study area, walk around it, visit these great restaurants and establishments where these input boards are located. So we appreciate your input that way as well. And I already mentioned, actually is in May, we had our schedules, if you all recall the freeze a few weeks ago, that did push our community meeting back. So it's slightly adjusted our schedule, but that next SAC meeting is on May 11th. And so we'll be visiting with the committee at that time, sharing them various information as we continue to move forward in the plan. So with that, we will take any questions that you might have. Again, if you can keep those questions related to this particular study. Any other questions would be directed to the city staff to be addressed at a later time. We will be monitoring Facebook to see if we have any questions on Facebook, as well as this Zoom webinar as well. So you can enter your questions in the Q&A icon box there located at the bottom of your screen. Again, that project website is oldseabrookdistrict.com. You can find various information about the study. Presentations as we move throughout this process will be posted there as well, and any other information related to this study. We will be coming to the community again at a later date to present the results of this study. So stay tuned for that as well. So Alexis, Leanne, do we have any questions out there?
We're not having any questions related to the study on Facebook at this time. I did put a reminder in the comments, and we're just kind of watching it right now.
Okay.
So far on Zoom, we do have one comment during the question about what brings you to Old Seabrook. Under other, the post office, it's important to remember that in addition to all the commercial activities and the residential activities in the park space in Old Seabrook, there's also the government type uses that also draw you down there. So maybe you go to the post office and then you want to linger a little bit and check out what's going on in Old Seabrook. So that's what we have on Zoom so far.
All right, thank you for that comment. Well, we probably would have had a question by now. So with that, we will take it as we covered the presentation well, and that you all have been paying attention to the various communications and talking to your neighbors and various other people in the community. So we appreciate your time this evening. Again, if you can visit the project website, listed there at the bottom of your screen. Please take the survey. It closes on April 23rd. Get out into the study area and help us to give some input on those interactive boards at the various locations as well. Again, we appreciate your time this evening, and thank you for attending.
Thank you, Shad. Thank you.